All right, we're live, Potter Buchanan show. Sean, my mortgage guy, how are you?
Good. How's it going, Potter?
Oh, it's excellent. It's been a while, brother. I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to reach out to you, I just see you on like Instagram, socials, LinkedIn, just kind of killing it in the mortgage industry. And I know people got a lot of questions about that these days. So I want to dive into that, like career and just life and family and kind of catch up. Sean, my mortgage guy, dubbed the title. You've been with Guaranteed Rate 14 years. You want to kind of give the background on that?
Yeah, so I've been with Guarantee Rates since 2013. So this will be my 13th year. It'll be my 16th year in the business. Oh. Just to kind of like rewind all the ways. Basically, I went to Swampscott High School. And as you know, I didn't exactly excel in high school, and I did a lot of messing around, a lot of partying. I graduated with less than stellar GPA and grades and stuff, and didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went to a business school, and initially I was studying marketing because I didn't really know, what area I wanted to focus on. So I just went really generic.
Same. I did the
And
exact same thing.
and of course the party just continued. And I went down there, went to Florida, freshman year, partying in the dorms, kind of going crazy, letting loose. And within about a couple months of being down there, I was on final disciplinary probation. And they basically told me, if you keep messing around, you're out of here. And I didn't really have any sense of direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was actually really bad at math, like real bad my whole life. And a finance professor basically, called me to his office and said, I see a lot of potential in you. I think you could do really well. And, you should be getting into finance. He said, you can learn marketing outside of school. You'll never be able to learn finance. He said, if you know how money works, you will do well. And he told me, you're on a path that's going to go two ways. He said, if you keep doing what you're doing and keep partying, you're going to get kicked out of school. And chances are you're going to be basically a loser the rest of your life. Or if you come and you study and you work hard, you do what I tell you to do, and you commit yourself, you will be successful beyond anything you thought possible. Said it will be beyond what you could imagine, the success you will have if you commit to doing what I tell you to do. And so I took that as, an eye-opening experience and basically a really big opportunity. And so I took on finance as a major from there and really committed myself and really focused on studying and getting it all down. And that's where I kind of got my start in finance, was having a good mentor take me under his wing.
Yeah, I think that's huge. It's really pivotal. Like a lot of times in life, you're at a crossroads, and whether it's luck, whether it's circumstance, but like finding someone that can be like the mentor and a champion to you is huge. What do you think he saw in you that brought him have him make that connection with you, that he was able to kind of put you right on the right path?
Yeah, man, I think he saw that I might have not been the most book smart person, but I understood the concepts. I'm smart. I was willing to adapt and really work hard at it, but nobody had really struck any sort of interest in me. And I had no sense of direction, and he showed me the path to success. And I always I think the hard part for me in school was I could work hard, but I didn't see like an immediate return on it. But he showed me the path where if you work hard, you will see an immediate reward once you graduate. And he actually brought in some students that had graduated under him that were working at hedge funds and mutual funds and that sort of thing. And I thought it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So then I put two and two together. You work hard, you get good grades, you graduate with a degree in finance, and then, the world is basically your oyster.
So that you go from finance, then how do you get, so you mentioned hedge funds, that's like big money. How do you end up getting in the mortgage industry?
Yeah, so I graduated with a degree in banking, finance, and economics in 2010. And at that point, the job market wasn't particularly great. We had my senior year of college, my finance professor brought in students that had graduated that were all in Manhattan working at hedge funds. And I thought it was just like the sexiest thing I've ever heard of. I'm like, I'm getting a job at a hedge fund and that's it. But I graduated, I moved home with mom and dad. I had deferred student loans, I had a shitty car, and I said, I'm going to work at a hedge fund. But what I didn't realize was you can't just apply at a hedge fund. It's hard to even find where they are, let alone getting in touch with people. So moving in with mom and dad was a real dose of reality where I figured I just got to get started doing something. And I was introduced to the owner of a small mortgage company actually by a person my sister was babysitting for. And his friend owned a mortgage company. I went in, they interviewed, and they said, we'll take you on. It's straight commission. You'll know right away if you like it and if you're cut out for it or not. And I figured I have nothing to lose. I have two choices. I can either sit at home at mom and dad's house complaining about having no job, or I could take this as an opportunity. I'll give it a shot. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, at least it's a foot in the door and maybe it'll lead to something else. And that was about May of 2010.
Circle, full circle all the way here. I know you've been killing it in the industry and actually got a lot of awards. It seems like you've got to travel. I've kind of been following your story um, on the internet, but what do you think? So your exact title is mortgage lender. What are you actually doing at Guaranteed?
Yeah, so I'm a loan originator. So what I do is help people finance homes, whether it be primary residence, like buying your first home, investment properties, people that own a handful of multifamily units, people buying second homes and vacation homes. So basically, if people need to finance real estate, I help structure that in a way that works best for them. So I have access to essentially an unlimited amount of money to lend to people, and I help them buy real estate.
Okay. And that's sort of where the finance background comes in, you think?
Correct.
Yeah. And is so you this role, is it still because a lot of real estate is straight commission. It's sort of like you make your own success. Whatever you put into it, you get out. Is it still similar to that where you're at today?
Yeah, so I've been straight commission since I first started. I've never had a salary before, which at first was scary. But what made it easier was, like I said, I had a totally piece of junk car. I had deferred student loans, and I had basically no bills because I was living with my parents. So the first year, I actually have my W-2 framed in my room. My first year, I think I made it was like $12,000, and that's reflective of 60 to 80-hour weeks every week for years. I was working every waking minute for the first year and had very little to show for it. But it's a I got into it at a good time when I could, and I could go an extended period of time without getting paid. Where if I tried to transfer into the industry and starting from a salary position and then getting into this, it would be a much harder transition. Exactly. And I'm still, straight commission now. So they say you kill what you eat. So you really get out what you put in. And if you're producing and putting in the time, really the sky's the limit. There's really no limits on what you can do.
Have you had are the work weeks still 60 to 80 hours or where are you at today?
No, no. So today I'm working probably 40, but it's the work now is a lot different than the work when I first started. So to give you an idea, when I first got in the business, I had no sort of mentor or guidance or anything. I was just told, go out and find people that need a mortgage and we'll sell them from there. And I just did whatever I thought would work. So I honestly wasted a tremendous amount of time and effort doing things that weren't the most productive use of my time. But I feel like in any business, you're going to do that. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way. But really, the bulk of my early success was going through the white pages. So I don't know if you remember, but Swampscott, Marblehead, and the Haunt had their own white pages. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
like this thick. So I got the white pages. I opened to A, and I would cross reference the last name with public record to see who owned their house, if they had a loan, when they took the loan out. And then I would look at Zillow to look at the home value, and I could figure out like who would benefit from refinancing. And I would just cold call them. And I would tell them, I work for a local company. Looks like you haven't taken advantage of, mortgage rates now. I think there's an opportunity for you to save a tremendous amount of money on your loan. Would you be interested to see how much you could save? And I would call on average 250 people a day, 6 days a week. And I would go right through A to Z, highlighting all the names. I went right through the white pages. And that's basically how I got started.
That's the grunt work, though. That's what gives you the calluses to be able to, like, move forward, though, like, where you're at now. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it sucked, and I really wouldn't wanna have to do that again, but at the time, I didn't really know any different, and I mean, it took a whole lot of calls to get it down, but once I got one person that was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and I closed a loan from it, I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm onto something here,"
yeah.
and then I was just an animal, and I would call all day long, and that's all I did. I looking back, there's probably much more effective ways at finding business, but that's all I knew, and that's all I knew that seemed to work. And that's how I got to where I am, starting with that.
If you can cold call and you can sell, you can basically do anything, though. It's a huge
Yeah, exactly.
and to not have that fear is really the key. So give me some people looking to go into the market now, buy homes or get a second home. Like, give me some. You're always posting about new trends and things. Give me some like top of mind things that people would need to know um, if they're going into the market right now.
Yeah, so going into the market now is going to be a little bit different than it was in years past. The home values are up pretty significantly. Although they've gotten a lot better, they're a bit higher than they were 3 or 4 years ago. So, for let's just say a first time home buyer, the best advice I can give is put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into figuring out where you're comfortable for numbers. There's three numbers when you're buying a house that are important. You have purchase price, down payment, and monthly payment. All three of those are interdependent, meaning if you know two, you can figure out the third. I suggest going in order of importance. The most important number is the monthly payment. So, how much are you comfortable spending on a monthly basis? And you want to look at that number, budget, come up with a firm number of what you're comfortable spending. The reason why that's the most important number is that's your payment come hell or high water, and you're expected to make that payment for 30 years. The second most important number is your down payment. That's how much money you're going to spend out of pocket to get in the house. Although it is a large expense, that's one and done. You could always save money after the fact, but you're not having to spend that every month like a mortgage payment. Now, if we know those two numbers, we know your down payment, we know what you want for a monthly payment, we can work backwards to figure out where you should be for a purchase price. And if you do it that way, it's really hard to get yourself over your head.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've seen a lot of stuff on these like 50-year mortgages and things like that. Like what's going on that is new that people can take advantage of? Is that something I would it seems like a bad idea to me, but, like, what's your take on that or anything new that's kinda evolving in the market?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, what's happening is the current administration is trying to think of creative ideas to help with affordability. Affordability is really the big buzz term right now. And basically, what they're referring to is home prices are high, rates are high, and average wages really haven't grown a lot in the past 10, 20, 30 years. So it's becoming more and more expensive to own a house. And they're trying to come up with ways to make it more affordable. Now, the issue being the administration is throwing out ideas without really researching or asking people like myself in the business. So, yeah, 50-year term sounds good, but the math, like as they say, the math doesn't math. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And let's just say that you compare a 30-year and a 50-year term, an average loan amount in, say, Essex County, Massachusetts, for first-time buyers, probably five or 600,000. The difference between a 30 and a 50-year term, when looking at a monthly payment, might be about $300 a month, whereas the difference in interest is significant. So you're not really saving money. You're spending less in the short term, but spending significantly more in the long term in interest. And there's better ways to get to the same savings. So, for instance, on that $600,000 loan, if you paid to get a lower interest rate, so you paid one discount point, which is $6,000, you could lower the interest rate enough that you could save $300 a month on a 30-year term and have the same payment as a 50-year term, saving 20 years worth of interest. So there are better ways to get to the same outcome.
So this is if you have your mortgage, is that essentially paying on the principal to lower the monthly or what?
So you talk about like paying discount points?
Yeah, yeah, what you just mentioned previous.
Yeah, so that's when you close, you can buy a discount point. And a discount point is essentially prepaid interest. So you pay a little bit more at closing to get a lower rate for the life of your loan. So let's just say, for example, you have a $600,000 loan. If you pay 1 point, which is 1% of 600,000 or $6,000, if that saves you $100 a month, you would break even in 60 months, which is 5 years. So you look at it from a return on investment standpoint. In some cases, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think, um, that can help a lot of initial home buyers. Asking for a friend, AKA me, what about someone with a mortgage loan currently? What strategies do you have for them long term to make it either more affordable, or is there anything they can do once you're already in the situation?
Yeah, so once you have a loan, you could refinance if interest rates go down. Now, there was a really big term a couple of years ago that a lot of people were talking about in our industry. And what they were saying was marry the house and date the rate, meaning if you love the house, buy it regardless of where rates are now. And you can always refinance in the future when rates go down. So a lot of people ended up taking on a higher payment than they were comfortable with, which really goes against the advice I just said a minute ago, which is come up with a budget and stick with it. The problem with marry the house, date the rate is there's no guarantee that mortgage rates are going to go down. And for a lot of those people, they're almost stuck in a bad marriage. They have a house they love, a mortgage payment that is higher than they want, and they can't get out of it. So if rates go down and they're lower than the rate that you got when you bought the house, you can potentially refinance and take out a new loan at a lower rate, but it's not guaranteed that rates are going to go down.
Yeah, it seems like they've been stuck for a while or going up. Do you see any improvement with that as far as like housing price, like the prices, like to your point before, our salaries aren't increasing by any exponential measure, but the house price they seem to keep going up. Do you see anything in the future as far as interest rates or housing prices getting any better?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is in Massachusetts is a lot different than every other state. So if you look at like a heat map of home values, Metro Boston is really one of the only areas where home values have not gone down. Everywhere else in the country, especially like areas like Texas and Florida, home values are down like pretty significantly. In Massachusetts, home values haven't gone down. Yeah, I would say if anything, they're leveling off or going up much slower. Rates haven't gone down, or home values haven't gone down significantly. Interest rates are creeping down. I mean, right now we're hovering in like the low sixes, whereas at the height in 2023, they were pushing 8%. So they're a lot better than they were, but they're not 3% like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Is there anything else like you're seeing that you wanted to cover, like put out there as far as like the industry's going?
Yeah, so a lot of people come to me and they're expecting a painful process and that it's going to be cumbersome. They're going to have to be sending documents over and over again, and that getting a mortgage is really difficult. But it's becoming significantly easier. And a lot of that is because AI and just doing things electronically, it's really gone far in the past couple of years. My company is really at the cutting edge of technology and AI and that sort of thing. And we made huge investments during COVID, which we were really far ahead of the curve industry wise. So we've had a lot of technology that we have the ability to use, but the industry wasn't advanced enough for us to really take advantage of what we have. And now, coming out of COVID, the industry is at a point where we can use all the technology that we've developed. So, for example, if you're a W 2 employee and you're salaried or hourly, we can use AI to underwrite your loan instantaneously. And in a lot of cases, we don't need to collect pay stubs, W 2s, or bank statements. We can get all of that electronically, have your loan underwritten instantaneously with AI, and we could have a mortgage commitment in just a couple of minutes.
Is that so? We're seeing a lot of AI in industry. I mean, I was in tech. Um, do you worry about that as far as like job security, or do you think the AI is just enhancing what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Potter. It's a double-edged sword. My my job role is mortgage originator. So originating meaning you're starting the loan, but you don't process it. I don't underwrite it. I don't close it. I'm going out and finding a loan. And once expectations are set and the loans are processed, I'm going out to find another loan. Now, with the AI stuff, it becomes so smooth and so easy that it's kind of changing the role of a loan officer, a loan originator, where we're really the rainmaker. So we're going out, making relationships, getting the business, but we're not really putting a lot of effort into closing it because it's all done electronically. So it makes it a lot easier to do a huge amount of business and keep a high level of customer satisfaction and have a really good process. But it also it makes you really question your job role and where you can provide value. And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a downward pressure on our commissions where we're going to be doing more volume at a lower margin. And I think it's going to be more like an insurance kind of business where we're doing a huge amount of volume, paid a little bit less per loan, but people are coming to us not just to close their loan, but because they trust our advice as a professional.
Okay. Yeah. So it's what just you personally and your brand as a human being will keep you afloat in the network that you've built, essentially. Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to keep as much human aspect as we can, and find out where we're going to fit in this world of AI and robots going forward. So I think we'll all face those challenges.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like my company developed the AI underwriting engine that we use, and then we sold the rights to Freddie Mac. So Freddie Mac audits every single loan that they buy from every company in the industry using our software that we developed as a company.
Wow. Well, did that help you at all, the fact they sold it, or was that just a good
No, but I mean, the one way that it helps is legitimacy.
yeah,
So people ask me, you know, how accurate can AI be? And how can you trust the accuracy of AI underwriting loans? Well, if Freddie Mac trusts it to review every single loan they purchase, it's got to be good.
yeah. No, that's a great point. Alright, shifting gears a little bit. So I've been following kinda your workout journey here. I think you're kinda like the David Goggins of the mortgage game right now. Waking up, middle of the night, headlamp on, running. You're kinda jacked now, which is a good transformation. You were a very skinny guy in high school. I'm still working on getting in shape. What's the day to day on the workout front like? What's
Yeah, so I'm getting there.
into this?
So basically where I started was, in high school, I was 5'7", 120 pounds, all through high school, through college, and then I graduated college 2010. And I just always been pretty self-conscious about being like super, super skinny. And I got out of college and I said, enough is enough. I'm I'm tired of this, and I can either keep complaining about it or I can do something. And I started going to the gym in 2010, and I kind of caught the wave of CrossFit really early on. So I started doing CrossFit, I think it was 2011, and I did it religiously 5 days a week up until actually like early this year. So I did CrossFit for the better part of 14 years, which I learned all the movements, how to do all the techniques, strategies, movements. I learned all of it and then just kind of grew out of it. And now I kind of do my own thing. But I went from being, 120 pounds. I've gained about 45 pounds
That's
since I first started.
that's crazy. What is your nutrition like for that? You just protein all day?
And it's no, I mean, for a long time it wasn't particularly good, but now I've kind of have it dialed in where a really good friend of mine is a lot of my friends are really into the fitness thing. One of them is actually really good at cooking, so he does meal prep for me. So I pay for all of our meals, he preps them, and I eat what he makes for me. So my nutrition, I mean, it could be better, but I'm pretty dialed in.
Yeah, everyone's could be better, but that's pretty cool. So he's like you got like a personal chef essentially?
Yeah, essentially. And I've been doing the CrossFit thing for a while, and I started swimming because I moved next door to the Y. So I started swimming and I swam with like an adult, they call it a master's league. It's basically like an adult swim team kind of deal. So I was swimming with some of the people were like Olympic level athletes. So I started swimming that I did that for 2 years in addition to CrossFit. And it got to the point where I was pretty good. Like I was swimming 5,000 yards a day, 4 days a week. So like 20,000 yards a week. I started competing, and I did a, fundraiser for the Navy SEALs called the Frogman Swim, which was 3.5 miles in Boston Harbor, and like totally by yourself. And I went out there. The first year, I finished it in an hour and 15 minutes, which that was like the first kind of like fitness type event I had really ever done. And I loved it. I thought it was great. So then the next year I trained and went back, and out of 120 people, mostly like Navy SEAL, kind of like David Goggin types, I came in third out of 120. So I swam I think it was 3.5 miles in just over an hour.
I can't really comprehend swimming 3.5 miles. 3rd out of Navy
And
SEALs though is impressive.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I always hated running. Like I was really bad at running. I was in really good shape, but for whatever reason, if I ran more than a mile, I would just immediately want to throw up. And I would just start hurling. And I said, if I commit myself to running, I know I could be really good at it. So I sucked it up. I started running and rucking, which is like either walking or running with like a really heavy backpack. So I trained for a year. I did the military marathon. They call it the Tough Ruck, and it's the Sunday before Marathon Monday in Boston. And I did 26.2 miles with a 42-pound backpack. I finished that the first year. It was really brutal, but finishing it was like quite the accomplishment. So then once I did that, I started running. And at first it was really rough, but I stuck with it and got really good at running. So I think it was the third time I did the Tough Ruck. I heard that there was some sort of secretive thing where there were a couple people that were doing both marathons, And immediately when I heard it, it really scared the shit out of me because I heard it and I said, damn it, like I gotta do this. And so I trained for 2 years. I raised $12,000 to be able to run the Boston Marathon. And I had to kind of keep it like a somewhat of a secret that I was doing both. But I went out, this was April of 2024. So I went out, I did the Tough Rock marathon. So I ran 26 miles with a 42-pound backpack in, I think it was like 6.5 hours. Finished that, went home, ate, showered, slept a few hours, woke up the next day at like 3 in the morning, took the bus to Hopkinton, and I ran the Boston Marathon dressed like Forrest Gump. Like the next day, like 12 hours later. And I finished that in just over, I think it was right around 4 hours. So I did both marathons. That would be, was it 53 miles?
Yeah,
So I did both in just over 10 hours.
that's crazy, man. So, like, the transformation, do you regret, like, you could have been a stud athlete in high school, I think. Like, it sounds like your heart.
Yeah, I mean, partying was fun. Yeah, I wouldn't really, going back, it is what it is. I mean, it kind of led to me being where I am now.
Yeah,
I mean, at least I didn't peak in high school, I guess you
that's a
could
good
say.
point. It's true.
But I'd rather, I mean, right now, I would say my goal is I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to progress and just have a healthy outlet for just like stress relief and something to do. And I just want the longevity. So I don't want to hurt myself. But I want to be the guy who's 50, 60 years old that's still in really great shape.
Yeah, well, distance running can you can rack up a lot of injuries. How'd you feel after those 53 miles?
Honestly, I felt great. Like I went to the gym the next day and I trained enough that I was more than ready for it. And I went to the gym the next day. I felt great, but I had lost, I can't remember if it was 12 or 14 pounds
I mean,
in like 24 hours, even though I ate and drank like a ridiculous amount, but I was down like 14 pounds. So I think it really took a lot out of me, but I bounced back pretty quick.
that makes sense. Where do you get this mentality or this drive? Like,
I don't know. I figure I've come this far, so I might as well keep going.
yeah,
And it's really not a lot. I mean, I do between, I would say, 2 hours a day. So I wake up at 4:45. I go to the Y. I stretch. I lift. I mess around with like a boxing bag, a punching bag for a while. I go in the sauna. I go in the cold plunge, and I'm home by 7 a.m. to get my kids out the door. Yeah. So kind of an interesting story was that, so starting in like high school, I kind of found I started drinking kind of like alcohol kind of early in life. So I was probably like 15, 16, and I started drinking then. And honestly, it was kind of like love at first sight. And I thought it was just like the best thing ever. And I drank honestly a lot in high school. And it was kind of a cultural thing. I had some good times with you and a bunch of friends and parties. So it was just kind of like a weekend thing. And then going into college, it was still nights and weekends and parties and all that. But then when I graduated, I get into finance, real estate, and it's a drinking culture. And the party kept going. And I was like, I mean, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, where a lot of my friends kind of stopped drinking, people had kids, and I was still having beers and drinking too much. I refused to acknowledge the fact that the party had stopped a long time ago, and I was kind of the only one there. And for a long time, I was thinking like I should really stop drinking. It's not helping me out, and it just became like a really terrible habit, kind of like a skeleton in the closet for me. But when I first started training for the first military marathon, I thought to myself, you can't really train for a marathon and be drinking all the time. It doesn't work. So that and a bunch of other reasons, I basically woke up one day and I'm like, today's day one. I'm not drinking anymore. That's it. Like enough is enough. And I figured I would just stop drinking from it was like November 1st. So November, December, January, February, March, April. So like 6 months, I'll do the marathon and then, whatever happens, happens. But I just felt so good going into the marathon. That was kind of like my why initially. But then the marathon came and went. And I'm like, why would I start drinking again now?
Yeah.
Like, I feel much better. I'm not really missing anything, and it's kinda like a new lease on life, and that's kinda how it all started, and now I mean, I've been sober now just over 3 years, so that was really how it all started was just training for the marathon, and that 'cause it other than that, I didn't really have any reason to not be drinking, but that was kinda like the one thing that set off a chain reaction where it just changed my habits.
Yeah, well, I think in your position, it's harder, right? Because 'Cause you're successful, you're working out, family good, like, everything's good, like, why stop? But
Yeah, I'm like everything's good, and it's not like I'm not, I'm not getting arrested. It's not like I'm at quote unquote rock bottom, but that's really like the one aspect of my life that I felt like I didn't really have control over anymore, and that was not helping me out in any way at all.
no, the funny thing about alcohol is you think it is helping, but it isn't providing any extra value. I think it takes
Not at all.
a while to, like, really become, like, fully comfortable in situations without it, right? 'Cause
Yeah, like I thought like, how could I honestly couldn't see my life without it, which is weird to say, because it was just so ingrained in everything I did. And I realized, like, some of the people I was spending time with weren't the people that would be helping me get to where I wanna be. And I figure if it's not helping me and my family, if it's not helping my business, and it's not helping me personally, then I don't really want much to do with it.
yeah,
And I realized, I was spending time around certain people where the only reason was I wanted somebody to hang out with and drink with, and that was it.
yeah.
But once I kinda got myself out of that habit, I'm, like, much better off without it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if you're gonna be doing these insane marathons, waking up at 4 in the morning. So would you were your 4 in the morning running life, were you also drinking during that time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, some of it.
That's
Like, I'd
crazy.
wake up and kind of yeah, like, I always went to the gym,
Yeah.
and I said there's no excuse not to go, and I would go, like, I'd be in pretty rough shape, and, like, I'd be feeling pretty hungover sometimes when I would go, but I was consistent,
So you somewhat you were
but
sweating it out.
if you look at, like, the science behind it, you drinking and trying to exercise, the drinking really goes totally against all of the science of exercise, and it really just makes everything significantly harder.
Yeah. No, 100%. Your recovery's worse, you can't build muscle, can't really it's just
Yeah, it's like, what am I doing here? I can either do one or the other, but you can't really do both well.
yeah. Alright, so last thing, tell me about, fatherhood, kinda where you're at, what it means to you, what are your kids up to?
Yeah, so it's a wild ride, man. So my wife, Cameron, we met in 2010. Funny story was fresh in the business, desperate for business. Somebody said Citizens Bank is having trouble closing mortgages. So I said, what could I do to get the loans that Citizens can't do? And I figured I'll start with a branch manager. They're easily accessible. I'll just go to a local branch, ask for the manager, and basically see what's up from there. So I Googled like local Citizens Bank branches, went to the one in Peabody in the Howley Street stop and shop, asked for the manager, and it ended up being my now wife, Cameron.
Wow. So you wooed the
Yeah, so I was
manager?
like,
You closed that deal, huh? Double time?
I closed that deal.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so we, very quickly moved in together. I mean, it's all kinda crazy how it happened, but I was living at home. My parents had my shitty Volkswagen, and my parents were like, You're successful now. We think you should start paying rent." And I'm like, "Screw that.
Yeah,
I'm not paying rent." And I had just met Cameron, like, a couple months prior, and I asked her, I said, "Do you think we could live together?" Because she had her own place. She's like, "Yeah, yeah, I think that would be pretty awesome." And I took that as, "Let's do this now." So me being an idiot went right back to my parents' house, packed all my shit in my car, and drove back to her house. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm ready to move in." She's like, I didn't mean like today. I meant at some point." And so I told her, it's sorry, misunderstanding, but I'm here. So like, let's do this. And if it doesn't work out, I will pack my shit and I will be gone faster than I came here. But I think there's something with us, something there's something between us here that I think is going to work. And if it doesn't work, we will know right away. But we might as well try. And that was 2010. So we had lived together for 5 years. Um, my daughter Alyssa was our firstborn. She's now 11. And I was always the guy that said, "I'm never getting married. I am never having kids. That will never be me." And here I am, married with 2 kids, and it's great. I mean, the fatherhood thing is interesting. I mean, it makes you really look at yourself and really acknowledge like your shortcomings and things you could do better. It's just interesting seeing yourself and your kids. But I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. So my daughter Alyssa, she does piano, guitar. She plays the trumpet. She does taekwondo and she plays chess and also soccer. My son is really good at guitar. He does taekwondo. He does soccer. So he's always doing something.
so you're raising some prodigies there, huh?
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Well, it's you're setting a good example, man. You work hard, you grind, you work out, so, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's what I want my kids to see is that anything's possible.
yeah,
But there are people that they'll sit around and complain all day, and then there are people that will do something about it. And, you can change anything about your life if you're willing to. You just have to put in the time and the effort.
yeah. No, I agree. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, man. I know we hadn't talked for a while. It was a great conversation and,
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man.
yeah, for sure.
This is great.
Alright, we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Potter.
Thanks.